everybody. It's Anna. I can see there's a few people here. So if you check in, that'll be great. If you let me know if you can hear me, that'd be great. So we are here for the new moon. We're getting ready for the next full moon, which will be the flower moon. So hi, FB. Thank you. You can hear me. I'm so paranoid about that now since that one time I talked for 20 minutes before somebody said, hey, we can't hear you. So the new moon. So basically we're starting from the place of emptiness. I think of the new moon as the place where we've kind of left everything on the field. Now we're kind of at zero again. Ideally, I mean, it's funny because, I think at least my impression of normal people is they kind of continually, like my husband's a good example of somebody who has like continual motion machine. Like he goes 9 to 5, he has regular regular work ethic. And I look at that, I'm like, oh, people should be able to kind of have steady ongoing energy all the time. That's never been true for me. I have had regular jobs, but definitely I'd have periods of sort of really, I'm very productive in periods where I get really tired and I think, man, why can't I stabilize my energy? So what I love about the full moon is it kind of validates that, yeah, we have like 2 weeks of like big energy and we blow all the energy, we invest it all. Then 2 weeks where we kind of bottom out, we have to build back up again. So I'm really enjoying 2024 because I am kind of consciously paying attention to the full and new moons with you guys. And it feels very validating. Like this is how the moon does it too. The moon the moon has full moon energy and you use up all the energy and then you're tired and you kind of rest and you kind of build up again. So anyway, so we're at the new moon, which means we presumably we are at a point where we left all of our energy, we've invested it all, we're at the 0 point again, and we're ready to build again. So hello, Julie. And I kind of feel that way. I feel like I'm tired. I mean, I'm at a 0 point, but because that's normal, I don't have to say there's something wrong with being tired. I can just say, yeah, I used up all my energy. Also, something that's interesting is, of course, everything in the spiritual realm, everything works in a cycle, in a circle, right? So whatever I invested in the last 2 weeks is now coming to fruition in the next 2 weeks. So now I put energy in, now it's sort of the responsive energy. So if you think of it that way, it's like we're in partnership. I lead and then the universe leads. Like I dance and the universe dances. So I think that, so especially this cycle with the coming up to the flower moon, that was what I was thinking about. Because instead of thinking, oh, I burned all my energy and now I'm at 0, I invested my energy and now that energy is doing its thing in the world while I build up my reserves again. Well, that energy. So it's not like energy starts and stops. It's that sometimes I'm investing it and sometimes the universe is investing it. And we're kind of flowing back and forth. And while the universe is taking the lead, I get to enjoy it, observe it, and let myself be rebuilt. So anyway, hi Dolores and Shadow. Good to see you guys. So the new moon, the full moon that we're coming up to is the flower moon, which, makes sense because in the Northern Hemisphere, the flowers are all coming out and different stages of coming out. So it is, and all the other alternative names for this coming full moon were something about flowering, like the certain flowers or certain fish, or they were different. So it was pretty much the same variation of it's the time for the flowers. So I thought what would be fun is to pull a spread that sort of focuses using flowers as the theme, but focusing on the developmental process of flowers. And kind of because we are at the new moon point, which is basically we're at a point of being refreshed, not investing energy, but like letting our energy be refreshed, kind of focusing on letting ourselves be encouraged and inspired by what we're seeing in the world. So we're not the ones doing the activity, we're watching the universe do the activity and sort of letting ourselves be fed by it. So what I thought we would do is pull a 3-card spread. I've got my cards here. If you want to pull your own spread, you can do that, or you can use my spread, whatever you want to use. But I thought we'd ask the question kind of from the new moon perspective of saying, what are we observing, right? The first question would be, what manifestation is in seed, which basically means it's in the ground. We don't see it yet. The work is underground. So that to me is like, it's sort of this anticipation, like we don't see it yet, but we know we've planted in the ground. Like in the last 2 weeks, we planted something in the ground and it's on its way. It's coming. It's not here yet, but it's on its way. That'd be the first question. What have I done that's in seed? What manifestation have I invested in that's in seed, right? Second question would be, what manifestation have I invested in that is in leaf? Because, before you get to the flowers, you have the leaf. And so if you think of leaf, the leafing of a plant, that's where it is manifesting. You can see it, but it is absorbing energy because the leaf is where the chlorophyll is. If you don't remember biology, or not biology. Yeah, it is biology, but it's plant biology, herbology. The idea of like the leaves are there to absorb energy from the sun. So it's like, it's still in a receptive mode. So it's there, but it's requiring nurture and energy. It's not yet, it's in a receptive place. So what have I manifested that's receiving energy, which means I'm sort of resting. Receiving energy is being open to energy. So we're not contributing yet to the world. We are now receiving from the world. And then the last question would be, what have I manifested that's in flower? And I think a flower is sort of the bloom point where it's like, yeah, here's the beauty, here's the fragrance, here's the invitation of engagement in the world. So now we're offering something and it's being received by others. And I think it's really important, for us to remember that is the cycle. Because as I said before, in the linear world we live in, pretty much all of us live in, there is an idea of there's a steady, one steady line, right? And you kind of engage in a certain way throughout that cycle, that line. And it's always active. It's never receptive. It's like you're doing the thing, you're completing your tasks, you're investing in the world. There isn't kind of an understanding of the balance. Well, now you have to receive. I'm sure people who are linear do receive, because they would have to receive somewhere, but they don't receive it as part of the work. They receive it like, okay, they have weekends off, or maybe they have vacations. Like the receiving is separate from the work, as opposed to the receiving being part of the work, right? You have to offer and receive in equal measure for a spiritual manifestation to be sustainable. And also when something is new, the first movement of something, you have the planting the seed, which is an action. But the next piece is the next two pieces are receiving, because then the flower, the seeds in the ground, it's receiving nurture from the earth, and then it receives nurture from the sun. So there is a good portion of beginning something new where you're not doing a whole lot, but sort of allowing yourself to be nurtured. And that's such an important piece of the journey that we miss, which is why so many times when I work with people who are trying to make something happen, and they get frustrated because they have an inspiration for something, which really is the seed of something. And the second the inspiration hits, they try to come up with all their action steps and all their plans and the final working out of the project, when they haven't received any nurture at all. They just barely recognize the seed. Like there's multiple places, especially the first two things you do is you sit in the ground and you get supported. Then you sit in the sun and get supported. And then the third step is you finally produce a flower where now you're beginning to really offer blessing into the world. So it's just easy to not remember that, particularly if you are not a linear person, which means you don't really function well in this sort of 9-to-5 regular construct, because nurture can't be something that happens on the sidelines for us. It has to be built into the journey. So anyway, that's my little lecture about how flowers come into the planet and also how everything goes into the planet. And so I thought we would sort of focus on those three pieces of the beginning of the journey, so that hopefully, by the time we get to the full moon, like we will have flowers in bloom. We'll be able to feel like here's the bounty. It's ready to go into the world. And we'll be able to kind of shift into that place of, again, investing our energy and our blessing in the world and, blowing it all, using it all up so that we'll be ready for the next new moon. So, I can't say chai crane. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. Do I ever use oracle cards? I do sometimes. Not when I'm doing tarot work, but I have oracle cards, and I actually have a group that I'm working with now. I have some people I meet with all year round, and one of my groups we're using oracle cards as part of our journey. So I do use them. I think of tarot as sort of being my first language when it comes to spiritual healing work. But yeah, definitely anything that speaks to you, because the magic, I always say the magic's never in the cards anyway. It's always in you. So whatever tools you use help you access your magic. That's good tools. It's good medicine. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my 3 cards. Feel free to pull your cards and we'll see, if we want to talk about what comes up. So the first card is, what manifestation have I invested in that is in seed, which means it's in the ground. We can't see it yet, but it's coming. So my card is Knight of Swords. Oh, that's interesting, right? Because the knight is the action taker of the court card. Swords are connected to the mind. This guy is like, he's a really dynamic knight. He's very focused. He's very clear-sighted. Like, it's like the mind, which has its action plan, knows exactly what it's going to do, and is very confident that it can pull something off, right? This makes sense to me because my mind, I am not a mind intuitive. I'm a heart intuitive, which means my mind has to wait for a while for my intuition to sort of get to a certain point of clarity before the mind knows what's really happening. It can create its own action step. So it's like the mind, there is a point, the seed of my mind getting clear is there. My mind's not clear. It hasn't gotten its action step or its clarity yet, but it's on its way. So that's a very hopeful message to my mind, because my mind does go through lots of periods of just sort of not knowing what we're doing and just having to walk in faith, kind of walking in the dark and seeing what happens. Like, I think I said in my last live stream that I'm learning, I think I said somewhere that I'm learning Irish. Yeah, I know I said it somewhere because I know people have responded to that. But so it's really a hard language. It's really hard. And there's no obvious practical application for it. So my mind's like, okay, it keeps saying, this is really hard. This is taking a lot of energy. This is like a lot of time and energy to do this. I don't know why we're doing it, right? So the mind does have an action step in that its job is to learn Irish. It is doing that, but there's no clarity. There's not this feeling of confidence like, oh yeah, I know what we're going to do. It doesn't know what we're doing. So it is learning from like maybe the page perspective. It's a page, but like it'll be nice for the mind when it finally goes, oh, all right. Okay. Now I see how we're going to use this tool in the world. I'm ready to take off across the field and attack the quest. So that makes sense to me. My mind is in seed. This clarity, night energy is in seed. The next question is, what is in leaf, which means we can see it, but it's still requiring nurture. It's not offering anything to the world. It's still receiving from the world. And that's the Ace of Pentacles. Okay. So the Pentacles is the physical world, right? It's about things you can see and taste and touch, your job, your hobbies, your money, as well as your physical wellness. And Ace is the seed. So it is the seed card, but we're asking the question about what is in leaf. So I think of the Ace of Pentacles as showing up when you're starting something new. You're learning something new. You're acquiring new skills. You're starting a new career. You're doing something new physically, like in your world. And I definitely think that, so the way I connected this, if I go back to learning Irish, because that seems to be a popular theme right now, that, when you're learning something, you are in a receptive mode. That means you're gaining information. Either you're gaining it from a class you're taking, you're gaining it from an experience, you're gaining it from practicing like an instrument or practicing a skill. There is this idea that you're not in mastery yet. So that's really important too, because especially sometimes you're like really naturally good at, especially if you're an intuitive, there are some things that you kind of have a natural mastery around. Like you can always get better at things, right? But there is something you kind of know how to do something. There are things that are like that, right? But there are other things that are not like that. And so, if you're going to start something new, you have to agree to the fact that you have to receive a lot of something, a lot of data, a lot of support, a lot of guidance before this becomes yours. And also this takes as long as it takes. That's important too, because, I think again, in our linear world, we like to set up deadlines and expectations. Well, I'm going to take this course and I'll learn, and when 3 months I'll have it mastered or something. That's not necessarily true. It takes as long as it takes for the leaves to absorb enough support. So, for example, I have in my yard honeysuckle, and it is in bloom already. I mean, it's really in bloom, right? Because I'm in Alabama, so it's warmer here than other places in the Northern Hemisphere. But I also have lilies. And they're all along my fence line, and they're tall and they're green, but there's no blooms yet. And I keep thinking, well, hopefully there'll be enough support, enough nurture, enough sun, water, whatever they're looking for, that finally these blooms come out. But right now they're still green. So there is this idea of you have to trust the green process. How long will it take me to learn Irish before I have enough? I have enough mastery that this night can pop up. I don't know. So there is this, you are dealing with the unknown, and you're doing it for a purpose. So if it takes you 3 years, it takes you 3 years. If it takes you a week, it takes you a week. Like, can you agree to the greening, to receiving as much support and energy as you can for as long as you need to before the bloom comes out? And the last one is what is in flower, like my honeysuckles, right? Oh, 8 of Wands. That's interesting. So the 8 is about flow and power. Wands are about fire and passion and energy. So this is kind of interesting, because you would think this wouldn't necessarily be the flower, because flower is what is already in the world. So I will tell you, the way I read this for myself is, even though my mind doesn't know what we're doing yet, doesn't have a strategy, and even though I am in the process of absorbing energy, I'm not the master of Irish, it's still a lot of fun. For some reason, there's a lot of life in this. And it doesn't really make sense to me either. Well, the only reason it would make sense, there would be energy in this, is because this is what my intuition wants to do. So there's something really cool about like not knowing what you're doing and still having a ball, right? Still really enjoying it and feeling confident and inspired and like really powerful. It's funny because the 8 is a number I connect to mastery, really. So even though I haven't mastered Irish, like I have mastered knowing my intuition and following my intuition. And so that's where you see the real challenge that comes from not being a linear intuitive in a world full of linear intuitives, is that for linear intuitives, often their enthusiasm comes from knowing where they're going, from having a plan, having like a predictable outcome. When you're not a linear intuitive, you can't count on, that's not going to be where you get your inspiration. Because also you can't even come up with where you're going. Usually, like me and Irish, you don't really know where you're going. So you can't be enthused and excited about where you're going. You have to be enthused about the journey itself, about the experience itself, because that's where that's where the juice is. And of course you end up arriving somewhere. There's always a purpose to where you're being led, and you finally find the purpose and go, oh, cool. You see how it works together. It's really exciting and fun, because you finally get to the last piece of the puzzle, but you're not excited about completing the puzzle as much as you're excited about living the puzzle. So that, to me, is already, even though I don't know why I'm doing it or how it's going to work out, and I don't really have a very good sense of Irish yet, it's going somewhere, and I can already feel something fun is on its way. So those are my cards for the new moon. Let's see if anybody else has anything else to say. Let's see. Hi, Ducky and Shadow. Okay, so Shadow says the first question, the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is that the cups is about the intuition and connection and emotional well-being, and the king in the Rider-Waite is sitting on his throne on an island in a rocky sea, right? But the island is stable. So the idea is like the king is sort of deeply stable, deeply loving, and hospitable to the emotional self, and knows how to bring safety and a sense of purpose and wisdom to our emotional turmoil. So there is something about, like, he's the master, right? The king is the master energy. So that would say, like, maybe you're in the process right now of, it's already in the ground, this sort of new experience of mastery around your emotional truth. I think of emotions, and the emotions can be either coming from the heart place or the body place, because your intuition might speak to you from the heart or the body. But emotions are basically saying the experience of something. And experiences are kind of how our intuition talks to us. So when we have big emotions, whether we experience them physically or in the heart space, it's communication. And sometimes communication is just no, or yikes, or I'm scared. But the king knows how to receive the communication, doesn't push it away, doesn't judge it, is not afraid of it, but brings it in and says, yes, I can find the wisdom in this communication. So maybe that's what's in seed for you, is that new sense of mastery. Let's see. FB. Oh, FB. So yeah, I mentioned Irish. Yeah, it's definitely a big part of my life right now. So Ducky said 8 of Cups, 7 of Swords reversed, and 6 of Cups reversed. So 8 of Cups. Okay, that's like that spiritual seeking card. That's another Cups card, it's intuition. And the person in the Rider-Waite, he's leaving behind his 8 Cups and going into the darkened wilderness. So it is like it's like trusting your intuitive guidance, trusting that, and developing a sense of confidence. And again, 8 is mastery. So like the King of Cups, the 8 of Cups is another kind of version of mastery. Being willing to like follow your heart, looking for the treasure is calling to you in the wilderness. You can't see it with your human eyes, but you can feel it with your intuitive eyes. And so that would suggest to maybe in seed is this sort of settling into the soil of your life, rooting into your life, is that sense of knowing, trusting in a deeper way your intuitive leadings and doing it, and your mind also learning how to agree to that, even though, like I'm saying, you don't know where you're going, but you do know you're going somewhere and you can trust that. And because your mind's not the one in the lead, your intuition's in the lead. That may be how that reads. What is in Leaf is the 7 of Swords reversed. So 7 is making choices, discernment. Swords is about the mind. In the Rider-Waite, it's the guy like running around a military encampment, picking up swords. He's discarding some swords and picking up new swords. So I think of that as the mind is choosing its tools, right? Which means the mind is discerning based on what it understands our goal is, which is always important. Like the mind has to understand what what the intention is, so it can match its toolbox to what you need, right? So it's like we're picking up mindsets, paradigm structures that match us, figuring out what matches, figuring out what doesn't match us, and discarding what doesn't match us. So the reversal of that could be like what's in bloom is not in bloom, what's in green, which means it still needs support. Is the mind is still trying to figure out, it's still in the process of sorting through its toolbox and figuring out what makes sense and what doesn't. And the reversal to me is like another kind of version of mastery. You want the mind to feel like it really does have a pretty nice grasp on what you're trying to do, and it knows how to partner with you, but it still needs support. The mind pretty much always needs support. So I think that makes sense that that's in green. Like the mind's going to do it, but it needs guidance. And I also think there's something about that 8 of Cups, like the intuition moving into mastery, and the 7 and the mind moving into better partnership, that actually they kind of speak to each other. And the last one is the 6 of Cups reversed. Okay, so the 6 is harmony and integration. Again, Cups is about the intuition. I think of that card as about the little girl and little boy like sharing cups together. There's a lot of innocence in that card, and the Rider-Waite, which implies like a relaxing. The heart is relaxed and in harmony and in balance and enjoying being in the present moment and really agreeing to the magic of the moment, not carrying with it a bunch of baggage from the past, not worry about what's going to happen in the future, but in this moment, agreeing to the magic of this moment. And the reversal to me in this case, I would say, is an internalization of that. So it's interesting because like the flower, which is sort of what we can already see and enjoy, is the harmonizing of the mind and the intuition, which the other 2 cards are addressing. So it's like they're in the process, they're the seed and the leafing, but already there's a feeling of harmony that you could that is sort of in the blooming. And so that blooming is probably connected to the other 2, the seeding and the greening. That's kind of cool. FB says death. 1 is death reversed. Okay, death reversed. So death is okay. So I think of the death card in the Rider-Waite is the skeleton knight who's already toppled over some kind of royal person because he's on the ground. His crown is on the ground. So I think of death as the release of an authority figure, an old kind of tyrant energy, to replace it with our own. So we're getting rid of some kind of dictator within ourselves, probably a voice of criticism or expectation that we picked up when we were younger that doesn't match us. The reason it's got to go is it doesn't match what we're here to do. So we got to get rid of it. It's leading in the wrong direction. It's creating restriction, or it's creating a limitation where it doesn't belong. So we get rid of that. And then the death in the tarot and in any kind of spiritual path, death is always like the release of something so that something new can begin. And in the death card, you have the guy on the ground, the royal guy on the ground with his crown off. And in the background, there's the village with the sunrise. So it is like the dawning of your own authority, becoming your own authority. And the reversal, I would say, is sort of I keep saying the internalization, but that is how I see the reversals. Because in this case, my questions are all good, like all positive questions. I'm not asking what's blocking us or what should we stop doing. I'm asking the question, what is being manifest. So my interpretations of the reversals have to be positive because I'm asking a positive question, just so you know. That's probably why these reversals are coming up as like the mastering or the internalization of something. So the death reverse then would say like what's happening is you're kind of in seed is this new place of authority for yourself. You're beginning to gain your own sense of authority, and it's sort of getting nurture from the ground, like it's getting ready to come up. So possibly the work you've done in the past has set you up to kind of bed into this new place of authority in yourself and the release of authority outside yourself that doesn't match you. What is in flower? Leaf, second question, is Four of Pentacles. So Four Pentacles. Oh, okay, we think of Four Pentacles. Oh my goodness, I can't think of what it looks like. Well, four is about balance and a foundation. And oh, I know Pentacles. Yeah, it's the guy who's holding a pentacle here. He's got one on his head. He's standing on another two. So Pentacles are the physical realm. So it's about money, jobs, physical wellness and vitality. And so that card, when it shows up, is often like about good stewardship. You're attending to your energy. You've got track of your resources. Like you're not being frivolous, or you're not being careless with your energy. You're not investing where you don't want to invest. You're not losing energy. You're being mindful of your resources. So Four of Pentacles is about honoring your resources. So there is something about like in the leafing, like learning to value your energy. Which I think that also feels like it connects nicely to death, right? Because when you have a tyrant, an unauthorized tyrant in charge of you, and you follow its rules or you follow its expectations, you're losing energy because you're investing energy improperly, not according to your calling. So you're compromising energy. You're giving energy to this or following these, and you're not honoring the purpose of your own energy, which is to do what you're here to do. So as you and the leafing, then there is this idea like you need to support, kind of help yourself and allow yourself to be responsive to the experience of balance in your resources, and also being willing to learn the no, like does your energy not belong? And kind of pulling back from that. So usually when you have energy leaks, it's because you're over giving in the world. You're in a process of giving and not receiving properly, right? So now we're trying to get to a place where we're not giving carelessly, we're not giving incorrectly or against our calling. We're now cleaning up all of the outside giving so that we're only giving what matches us. So that may be something that's kind of in the process of being nurtured and supported. And the last one was, let's see, I've lost it. Oh, what is in flower is Queen of Wands, I guess, or it says words, but I think you mean wands. So it's Queen of Wands. I mean, it kind of feels a little bit like my Eight of Wands, right? The idea of like she's this brilliant energy. Wands is about fire and passion and energy. And she's this lovely energy that's sort of a light on a hill. She's vibrant. She's warm. She's very attractive. So she draws people. People want to be around her because she's warm and she's lively and she helps them feel their own liveliness, their own expansion of passion and vision. So as you're kind of, as the death is sort of sorting out this new authority, sorting out, you're kind of honoring your own, giftedness, your own resources. There's also this sort of vibrancy and a willingness to be seen in the world, to show up as yourself and like, let that be a light on a hill. So that maybe you may be already feeling that experience as these other pieces are still working themselves out. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Shadows. Oh, so we already did one for shadow. The second question is Wheel of Fortune. So that would be what is in leafing, which is it's still looking for nurture. So the Wheel of Fortune, I think it's about not reading the universe as judging you or rewarding you. like we're not the center of the universe. So like there are things that are happening. There's sort of a path already in place. We're kind of part of the path, but the path doesn't revolve around us. So it's not like there's a divine energy above us saying, oh, I'm going to straighten you out, or which is often what you see in a lot of religious teachings, right? The universe is not directly responding to us. we are learning how to function inside of the universe. It's really how it is. Like that's the path of Dharma. We're in a path. We're perfectly equipped for this, for a certain kind of path. We're just trying to find our way in that path. So the Wheel of Fortune is about not resisting what is coming at you, but agreeing to it. Everything that's in our path somehow functions in a way that is offering us expansion and healing and abundance. So like learning. So to me, maybe as that's in leafing and the Wheel of Fortune, it could be that I'm learning how to settle into this belief, which really kind of is, the Wheel of Fortune is more of a mind challenge, which is helping the mind not to see the world as hostile, see the universe as hostile, and not trying to argue with what's in front of us, but saying, okay, this is maybe not what I wanted, not what I expected, but I'm going to agree to it and sort of let it flow in so that I can work with it rather than fight with it. So that may be something that is sort of coming into fruition. Your mind learning, getting support and learning more and more how to agree to this. And it's a learning, right? Because it's a receiving. So it could be that as you practice this, your mind is learning how to like be more elastic and more flexible in its understanding of things, and be more curious, be more of a scientist or an investigator, saying, oh, well, this thing happened. I wonder how that's going to benefit me. That's always a nice question. I wonder how this might help me, because you're asking the mind to not assume this is bad for you, but actually to make the opposite assumption. How is this possibly working for me? And that gets the mind to be more creative and more engaged and less fearful. And then I guess you said the third question, Shadow said, was, so the last question is what's in flower? And that's 3 of coins. So 3 of pentacles, which is, gosh, I'm losing all my pentacles. There's the 2 is the 3 of pentacles. Well, 3 is about, oh, I know what it is. 3 of Pentacles. 3 is about increasing momentum. So you're gaining speed, gaining energy. And in the image in the Rider-Waite, it's the guy building the cathedral. He's building a cathedral, and these 2 fellows stop by and they're offering him support and ideas and advice. So it's about team building. It's about finding resources, finding people who are resonant with you, who are excited for what you're doing, who want to join in. So that would suggest to me that yeah. So it's interesting because the Wheel of Fortune sort of like, oh, the universe, even when things come that I don't expect, somehow I know how to navigate this in a way that's beneficial to me and beneficial to the world. And the 3 of Pentacles is like, yeah, here come the resources. People are here to help. They're excited for you. They're building your team. So you may already be discovering that there are resources showing up for you, opportunities and people who are excited for this. And the other negotiations are like your mind is now learning a different story about the universe. It's not against me. I'm not getting punished. It's not, I don't have bad luck. Like everything that comes to me is somehow my ally if I can learn how to engage it from that place. So that's cool. Okay, so Shy Crane. I'm just taking a stab at it. Okay, so the seed is the Chariot, which is committing to joy. That seed is that powerful vehicle that's sort of in the Rider-Waite, it's standing still, it's not moving yet, but the charioteer is sort of scanning the ground, scanning the world, saying, okay. And I feel like the call is joy. He's waiting to see what inspires him to joy. So that being in seed could be that, you're letting your joy sort of surface itself. So many, almost none of us are taught like to use joy as your compass or even as your fuel. We're taught like follow expectations. We're given sort of expectations or instructions or what is a good thing. And we're not asked to kind of feel into that place of joy. So it could be that you're kind of getting in touch with that place of joy. It's getting its roots in your system so that you can recognize it and use it as the compass that it is. That may be something that's sort of coming up for you. The leaf is the Empress. Oh my gosh, that's another. You got another 2 major arcanas in a row. So leaf means the Empress is that creative flow energy. She is the manifestor. She's in this beautiful field of all these, it's got water and there's stars and there's trees and there's weed and she's got pomegranates all over her gown. So it really is like this very verdant, fertile energy of just a vessel through which new things come manifesting into the world. And it is creative flow, which means that she's in the image in the Rider-Waite, she's on a chase lounge. She's like resting, right? Which I love because she's there, she's present, she's very engaged, but she's also completely restful because she's really just making herself a vehicle through which new things come into the world without judgment and without necessarily even knowing exactly what she's manifesting, right? She's just like, yep, I'm here for the party. So you could be discovering that right now you're kind of settling into that creative flow. You're getting you're getting support from the sun and from the universe so that that flow feels stronger in you. And actually that feels very connected to the chariot, because the creative flow and joy are probably very closely related. And the last question was, the flower is the Three of Pentacles. So again, partnership, like there's resources are aligning for you. People are aligning for you. They're excited for you. They can see where you're going, and they're like offering their support and their ideas, and that kind of, and in the physical world, in order for any manifestation to be sustainable, you have to be able to receive. You can't do it on your own because there's just too much density. And also because we're not built to do that. As I was saying earlier, like you're supposed to, you engage, the universe engages, you engage. There is this sort of need for this ebb and flow. Otherwise, you're physical. We're humans. We're in a physical body, which can't keep going forever. Like it needs to rest. And if we don't have the rest built in where we're also receiving, then you'll just poop out finally. So this idea of there's already sort of sources gathering around you that are sort of offering support, and being able to feel like, yeah, they're excited for what you're doing and they want to be part of it and support it. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Okay. Shakreen says, I hope this helps. The Four of Pentacles. Oh yeah. Treasure chest. Well, yeah. Oh, so in yours, it's sitting on a treasure chest. Well, in mine, he's like standing on him. So it's kind of the same idea. Like I'm holding tight of holding my coins, got my stuff, I know where my resources are. So I do think that, I mean, I have my own like natural kind of reaction to that, because I feel like that can be miserly. Like we're like, oh, I'm scared, I'm guarding. But it can be that. And sometimes it is that, depending on what question you ask and whether it comes upright or reverse, that can be the message. But here it's like, I think because these are good questions, right? I'm asking the positive. Then I think it is about being a good steward. Like, don't throw away your energy. This is actually really important, because so many of us, we do have gifts. We can feel gifts, and our gifts want to be in flow, but we invest them in the wrong places for a while. All of us do that, because you first try to invest them where people are telling you to invest them, or in something that's already there. And you can do good things. You're doing good things in the world, but it doesn't feel that great. Or maybe it feels okay, but you're losing energy because you're investing way more energy and almost the wrong. It's almost like you've got high quality fuel and you're putting it into an old jalopy. So it's high quality fuel, but it doesn't belong in the jalopy. It belongs somewhere else. So you can feel there's a bit of a loss there. And there's this saying in the Christian tradition that, you're throwing pearls before swine. Sounds terrible, but basically it's like you've got pearls, but you're giving them in a place that doesn't recognize the beauty of them. Right. So they get trampled because it's not recognized. So I think that the Four of Pentacles is like it's like recognizing the value of your resources and investing them properly and with the respect that is due them, rather than throwing your pearls before swine. Let's see. So yeah, Julie says the Taurus new moon. So it's related to the Empress. Yeah. So I don't know much about astrology, but the Empress showing up is really cool. Hi, Wex. I'm glad you're here, even though you're late. So Annie says the seed is the Ace of Cups. So that's interesting. That's, to me, the Ace of Cups is sort of an expansion in receiving love. The image in the Rider-Waite is the chalice facing heaven, and there's a dove coming with the communion wafer, which represents incarnation. So spirits incarnating into the flesh, and the cup is the vessel to receive that love. And I think the ace is the beginning point of something, right? So it's the beginning of a new trajectory. And I think it's like the expansion of receiving love. So receiving more unconditional love, becoming a vessel that receives it and then gives it to others. There may be something kind of expanding in you that's getting its rooting in the ground right now. The leaf is the Chariot. Oh, so Chariot again. So that is like, so now we're kind of, so actually, if you're in the leaf, I think that is that pause actually that's depicted in the Rider-Waite, the guy looking and going, okay, like letting himself get inspired, not moving until he gets inspired. So you may be discovering that you're feeling something's kind of bubbling up, like you're getting, but you're waiting. Like you want to wait. You don't, because I think there is a tendency, like we think we're supposed to already know what we're supposed to do. And so we get restless. We think the pause means we're confused or we're lazy or we're blocked. And so the mind will often use the strategy when that happens of, well, let's just move. Let's just go do something. And by the way, that's not a bad strategy. I mean, especially when you're younger, that strategy is pretty workable. It's just that you often jump into the wrong direction. You lose a little, usually you lose a little time and energy doing that. But when you're young, you usually can pull that off because you have so much extra energy anyway. I think as you get older, like I am, and you have less energy to burn, you become more and you become more like cognizant of your energy, like the Four of Pentacles. You pay attention. You're not so you just wait. You learn how to be to wait and be restful and trusting. And so that could be what you're doing is you're like waiting for the Chariot to sort of to catch somebody to catch your eye. And until that, you're willing to just sit in the sunshine and let your energy be nurtured, and the flower is strength. Ooh, so strength. I love strength. So strength is the angel. I think of her as an angel energy, sort of wrapping her arms around the lion, and the lion's letting her love him. And I think of that as the deep love and trust of our own vital energy, because the vital energy, like the lion, is something most of us have been taught to be afraid of. It needs to be brought in, controlled, restrained. We need to be civilized. We don't need to be wild. And the lion is a wild energy. And so we have learned to not trust that in ourselves and to control it, ignore it, push it away, right? But I think the strength is really in the angel who's not afraid of the lion, who loves the lion. And because she trusts the lion, she doesn't put it in a cage. She doesn't ask it to be different. She supports it and loves it as it is. And because everything in us just wants to be loved, the lion responds. The lion's like, yeah, I want to be loved for who I am. I don't want to be told I'm bad or I'm scary or I need to be tamed. I want to be able to be free. And so that's that deep trust of ourselves. Like the angel, well, she's an angel, I think. Well, she's got an infinity mark over her head. So I think of her as like an angelic energy. But the lion could hurt her. It could maul her if it wanted to, but she doesn't believe the lion is dangerous. She believes the lion is lovable and loving. And because she trusts it agrees to that energy. And also it then serves her. It aligns itself with her calling. So there is this sort of powerful experience of like vitality that comes when we let the lion out of the cage. We trust the lion to be a lion and we make friends with the lion. So if that's in flower, it's like you can feel this vitality coming up. You can feel this new alignment, this partnership coming up. You're not being civilized anymore. You're more interested in being authentic than being civilized. That's cool. Yes. Let's see. Raspberry Moon. Hello from Florida. Oh, so it's even warmer where you are. Okay, so the mom fast. Okay, just pulled Page of Swords reversed. Oh, you went to see, so just Page of Swords reversed in general. Cool. Oh yeah. So Page of Swords reversed. So you probably found something, but depending on where it's showing up and how it's showing up in your trajectory, the Page of Swords is like the youngster, like the student, and the swords is the mind. So like the youngster learning something new. And the reversal could mean that, I'm just going to make a positive view of it because I'm doing all positive readings today. It could be like, that your mind's ready to move in mastery. Like you're not the student. You've got this now. There is something about like knowing when to let go of. And that's actually what we're doing here. It's like you go from leafing to the bloom, right? The leafing is I'm receiving, I'm gaining information, and the bloom is like, I've got it. Here's my gift to the world. So maybe that's where that Page of Swords reversed is. Like I'm done being the student. I'm ready to offer. I've synthesized the data. It's now become the bloom, and I'm ready to show my bloom to the world. They may or may not fit, but I just thought I'd offer that. Okay. Anything else? I'm so glad you guys were here. Oh, she said, I didn't watch it. I came here. So you can decide if that reversal reading works for you. Cool. If not, you might want to keep looking. Because reversals all the cards are always working in concert. I never look at cards by themselves. I look at them in response to each other in a spread and in response to what I'm asking. So I never know if it's gonna match what you're looking for or not. But if it doesn't match, you move on, you find another definition until you go, yeah, that's the one that matches. Because you can hear in your own soul when something resonates and you go, yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. So, all right. Well, good. I'm glad you guys were here. So I guess we'll plan to meet again, and I may meet again another live stream if I get another idea. That comes up. I might schedule one, but if not, I will plan to schedule a live stream on the full moon, then the the flower moon, and we will see what has sprung up in our lives. I will try if I remember to. I don't always remember to, but in between, I might share my own interactions with these cards, my own spread that I pulled: the Knight of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Eight of Wands, just as I process it myself. And feel free to share back as you're working through your spreads. So, yep, I will see you plan. I will plan to see you all for the full flower moon. See you then. Bye.